This is Art on the Airwaves with Cammy Davis on KSKQ 89.5 FM in Ashland, Oregon. This is Art on the Airwaves with Cammy Davis on KSKQ 89.5 FM in Ashland, Oregon. This show is about art and the business of art. And we have a great show today. First, I want to mention a podcast that I just did where I was actually the one being interviewed, and that's a little bit different for me. Usually I'm the one, grilling them and shining a flashlight in their eyes and asking the tough questions. But I was actually the one being interviewed, and it was recorded while I was at a trade show in San Francisco recently, and I was actually sitting in a little tent, a little Airbnb tent in Berkeley, California. The trade show was in San Francisco, and this is one of the things that I did it was only my second trade show. It was one of the methods that I used to kind of save on cost while I was trying to figure out if trade shows would work for me. So it's a really interesting podcast, and I posted a few pictures of it. There's one of my little feet in front of my laptop while I'm sitting on the air mattress in my tent, but there's also posts from the trade show as well. You need to go to my art Facebook page to see that, and it is if you go to Facebook and then search "It's All About the Art," you can find my Facebook page, and you can see some cool photos from the trade show that I did in San Francisco recently. For the podcast, it was done by Eat Magazine, which is EATTMAG.com. You can go there to hear it. It's actually on the front page right now, along with one of our local musicians, Jeff Kletzel. His song is on that as well. And you can also, another way, if you've got your phone in front of you right now and you'd like to hear it, you just text. The number is 1-480-418-1411, and in the line of text you just type EATTMAG, and it will automatically send you a link. I think you text your email then, and it sends you a link to where you can listen to that podcast. So that was really cool. The trade show it was called the San Francisco International Gift Fair, and like I mentioned, it was only the second one that I had done, and there were some incredible artists at the show, and I want to give a shout out to a few of them, because I have to say one of the things that I've learned in my the 4 years that I've really been focused on my art business, and I've been in business for 6 years now, is how giving and caring other artists are, and I love that. So the two that I want to give a shout out to are Suga from Suga Jewelry. I love her stuff. It is, oh my gosh, it's contemporary, it's ultra sleek, it's sophisticated. I would have bought out her entire display if I could have. Of course, it was a wholesale show, so that would have been a lot of jewelry, but that's okay. I could have worn it. Anyway, her website is Suga Jewelry, which is SUGA jewelry.com. And then also to Janine from Tangleweed's Homemade Jewelry. Not only is her jewelry amazing, and she was making sales like crazy, and people were eating this stuff up because it's beautiful. But she's also a fabulous entrepreneur, and I'm really hoping to have her on the show in the future because she taught me so much. It seemed like every question I had about trade shows or about my jewelry business, she had an answer for. So I definitely want to give a shout out to her and give you her website, which is tangleweeds-jewelry.com. And I've put both of the links on the Art on the Airwaves Facebook page, as well as in today's post on artontheairwaves.com. So our first guest is Holding, and this is really interesting. I had him call on the, on the station, the hard line, whatever it's called, the one that goes straight to our microphones, and there was this huge loud buzzing noise, so it wasn't working. So I actually have Chris on hold. Oh, Chris, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Listeners, I hope you can hear him. I'm turning up the mic a little bit. I had to think quick on my feet here. He's on speaker on my cell phone, and I'm turning, Chris, I don't know if you know this, but I do a videotape this at the same time, so this will be on my YouTube channel, so the viewers that are watching that are going to get to see a little picture of my cell phone with the microphone in front of it. So that's a class act, thinking on our feet way we're doing things here on Art on the Airwaves. How are you, Chris?
What's that?
I said, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks for having me. Yeah, that's interesting. I can visualize the whole rig, how you have it set that up right now.
I know. It's really great. My laptop is actually sitting on top of Kleenex boxes so I can get a decent angle of myself because I'm a girl, that's important. And then I've got the little cell phone next to it with the microphone. So it's pretty adorable. But okay, so listeners, who I have on the line with me today is Chris Foster, who is an amazing artist from Portland. Chris, let's tell, so the listeners, of course, this is an audio show. So can you describe your art for them?
Well, I would say, well, it depends where you start in the timeline of things, but I generally it's abstracted work, and I like to work with explore different mediums a lot, so I'll switch it up. Early on when I was doing my art, it was you couldn't really recognize it from series to series that it was the same artist. So.
I think a lot of new artists do that at first.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what I'm doing now is encaustic and foil. So I'm still inspired to continue working with that medium on wood panel. I love it. It's a great job.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see them in person. I saw a few last time I was there. I would describe your art for the listeners. When I think of your art, I think it has a lot of movement. Texture is definitely something, but the two that I would use the most are movement and color. Each time I see yours, you have you do different plays on colors, and they're different than what I typically see. Like there's something different about your usage of colors. So I think of movement and colors. I think your pieces are fantastic. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I find that's a good thing to say. I mean, it is. I mean, if I was to look at it objectively like that, yeah, I would say color for sure, movement for sure. It has, there's certain moods that I go through. I like to really embrace either saturated earth tones or go completely opposite and brighter dual tones. It's just like it's a real celebration of colors, I would say.
Does it depend on what mood you're in when you're painting those pieces?
I'm sorry?
Does it depend on what mood you're in when you're painting the pieces as far as what colors you choose to use?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's always subjective, too, because I can start with something really bright or really happy, and, I love yellow, for example, but I could, because the way I work in the process, I don't just stay with one painting the whole time. I usually stay to the ground a lot. So everything I'm practicing is coming from, pure intuition every time I approach it.
Tell us one thing that the listeners don't know, unless they were in Portland last night, is you had an opening last night. You had a big opening last night. Tell the listeners about it.
Oh, it was awesome. I got to meet a lot of different people I haven't met before, and have some interesting conversations. It's always fascinating to me how people that love art, and even people that are just kind of down there checking it out, what their interpretation of the abstracted pieces, what it's like for them. Each person sees something different. Some people actually look for something to see. Some people, they really just, it's about an emotional experience. Some people, I think they're attracted to it like they're attracted to something in nature.
Yeah.
It's always very fascinating for me to see how each person is very different.
There is nothing, I think as an artist, there's nothing more satisfying than watching somebody view your art, especially when they are reacting to it. Don't you think so? I know I've heard you comment on that a couple of different times when we've spoken.
Oh, yeah. No, it's always really great to hear, have those kinds of conversations, too, because they're all very different. I remember last night I had to really, switch gears a lot, because, people were having completely different inner monologues going on with the art. And I was like, okay, where am I at right now? I got to explain. Okay, I don't even know.
That is so interesting. Oh my God. So last night, I don't think we actually mentioned where his opening was at. So Chris Foster is the featured artist. So we had a solo exhibit in the front part of the J.Pepin Art Gallery on 9th Street in the Pearl District in downtown Portland. So it's a really huge deal, and I have seen his art there before. It is stunning. So that's what we're talking about. Chris, what is it that they have in the Pearl? Is it called First Thursday? What's the art walk called?
Yeah, it's First Thursday. Well, First Thursday. It was packed at downtown Pearl last night because the weather was so beautiful. There's tons of people out.
Oh my gosh, I so wanted to be there so badly. But actually, I'm going to my next trade show in Seattle. It's August 15th through the 18th. So I'm going to stop either on my way to Seattle on the 14th or on my way back because I've got to see your exhibit.
Oh, for sure. I'd love for you to see it. Jennifer did an amazing job curating. Seriously, like, unbelievable. Like, as soon as she walked in, like, her vision of what she saw on the walls with my art was really, really incredible. And it's amazing. It's like the biggest compliment you could get, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer Pepin, who he's mentioning, so she's the owner of the J.Pepin Art Gallery, and she was on my show, I think it was 2 shows ago, and Chris, I don't know if you know this, or I don't know if I've had a chance to tell Jennifer this, but it is the show that I've had the most comments on, and the most supportive comments on, of any of the shows that I've done. Listeners, if you missed that show, yeah, it was really amazing. She's such an inspiring person, and she does have such vision, like you just mentioned. Listeners, if you missed that show, if you go to Art.on the Airwaves.com, click on podcasts, and you'll see it. And if you have a chance to listen to it, I highly recommend it because I just think so much of her and so much of you as well, Chris. And I had a few other questions for you. I wanted to mention the article that is coming out in Eat Magazine about Chris Foster. And yeah, so Chris is actually getting his images ready to send in for that article today. This is an interview that I did with him, and Eat Magazine is going to publish it. It's going to be out by the end of the month. I wasn't able to get an exact date on that, Chris, but it will be by the end of the month. And yeah, and one of the things that we talked about in the interview with you that I found interesting was you mentioned that you used to be an actor and then a chef. Tell the listeners, yeah, it's fascinating. Tell the listeners how you went from that to fine art.
You know, I'm a musician.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I played in a band in New York City. We did all kinds of. We even got to play with. We were on tour with James Brown. James Brown was going.
Oh my God, that's cool.
Went to Athens, Georgia. It was fun.
Oh wow.
But yeah, you know, it's a tough question. How do I become a fine artist?
Yeah.
From an actor, from a musician. Yeah. You know, I think it's all kind of related in a way, but I think what suits my lifestyle and what's healthy for me right now, and is the most satisfying is art, is doing fine art, because I think it's at its purest form.
Yeah.
It really taps into the primal form of creativity, the act of creativity, the need to create. It's just, it's pure, because you're dealing with something that's completely blank, and it's all about your imagination. I mean, everything I've done has been creative, but there's also a whole other world and a set of things that go along with it, especially being a chef, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I was really good at creating dishes and flavor profiles, etc., but I was terrible at managing hours and, you know, labor costs and food costs and all the analytical left side of the brain, I just forget about.
Yeah. Well, I think that business side is such a hard thing for so many artists, and that's actually I want to do one more. It's kind of a bigger question for you before we go to our next song. Chris, I really want to have you and Jennifer should come down and visit me sometime and come in the studio live. But barring that, I'd like to have you on for a full radio show sometime because we have so much to talk about. But the last question I want to ask you is about that very thing. As an artist who has transitioned, kind of looking for the creative side that speaks to you the most, what 5 tips can you give to other artists and entrepreneurs about starting an art business, doing something you love?
Yeah, well, anything, I mean, specifically doing thinking about the fine art world, that is something that I am learning more about every day. So in terms of advice, on who to talk to, what to do, that would be very difficult because now it's becoming an everyday learning experience for me. As a process as an artist, I would say, remain true to that and really believe, because you have to believe, I guess, to really make anything happen. But in terms of like giving advice about how to do a career change, God, I've done so many. What's that?
Oh, I was just laughing. I agree. So many of us have.
I would say the biggest piece of advice, I mean, there's not one thing. There's just not one thing that you could, I would say be true to yourself 110% and listen to your intuition and your gut.
Yeah.
Not your mind.
I think that's great.
Start to make more sense.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think that's one of for entrepreneurs and artists, is listen to your gut like in anything, because your gut will guide you quite a ways. So I love that. And I know we're in the Eat magazine article, we're going to include some tips from you. So I know that will be one of them, and we can chat later about what other ones we want to include on that. Chris, I know this was a little bit of a difficult interview because I know it's hard for you to hear me with the phone on speaker, but I thank you so much for calling in and taking part.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. Thank you for letting me get on the show. I think it's incredible. I'm really excited. It's all a very exciting time in my life.
Well, you're doing amazing things, and it comes because when I look at your art, it's painted from passion, and I can see that and I can feel it, and I think that's why you're going to go very far. Please give Jennifer a hug and a wave from all of us here at Art on the Airwaves, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Cammy. I will.
Thanks, Chris. Bye-bye. So that was Chris Foster from Portland, Oregon. He's an artist in Portland, Oregon. And I do have a link to his website. His art truly is amazing. And I also have a link to the J.Pepin Art Gallery on today's Art on the Airwaves podcast. We're going to go to our next song, and when we come back, we're going to have an in-studio guest, so there won't be any microphone problems this time. Our first song, and I have decided today to name today the official Art on the Airwaves Klutzel Music Day. Everyone's got to have a Klutzel Music Day, is what I've decided. I got his CD, I don't know, probably a few months ago, and I have painted so many paintings to his music. His music is really beautiful. And I find that if I put on music throughout my day, it just really helps my day go so much better. So if you do need a fix of his music to finish out your day after Art on the Airwaves, of course, you can find his album on CD Baby. And I do have the links to his website on the Art on the Airwaves podcast for today, artontheairwaves.com, and then look for the podcast. And I am going to but the next song is going to be Clear Morning Light by Jeff Klutzel. This is for your Klutzel Music Day. Enjoy. Oh my God, sorry about that. I don't know if
That's
you
all right.
I don't know if you heard the
earlier.
first part of this, but
no,
he was supposed to call through the telephone.
Oh, and he called you.
No, it didn't work.
Oh.
So anyway, I had to scramble at the last minute.
Sorry, I was standing in front of the speakers out there listening, and the way it was coming through on your phone was perfect.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Because
yeah.
I just had to go.
And I had to get over there and tune the echo out.
So you were there. So you need to talk straight into this. So you might need to do whatever. And then when I introduce you, I will turn it, and there you go.
Oh, yeah, we have video now.
Oh, yeah. I have Chris on video. And I picked up the phone. He doesn't know that I was dancing with him yet. There are headphones.
Oh, I need those.
And so we're going to talk a little bit about you, and then we're going to talk about Art.Music.Passion.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of amp stuff written down.
Good.
I mean, I know most of that off the top of my head anyways. And then a couple of... Did you still want me to go over, tips to...
Yeah, so we're going to do that first part that I said. I'm going to talk a little bit about... We have these Brit musicians that came in yesterday and played for Grandma. I want to talk about them. Oh, it was amazing. So I want to give a shout out to them. And then at 1:45, we're going to go... So the clock is up there. We'll go to the next song by Jeff Kletzel. And then when we come back, that's when we're going to talk about the tips and the business stuff. And then, of course, we, finish like 5 minutes beforehand. I put his last song on, so.
Okay.
And it's so hot in here because I guess we could turn on the fans now that I turned on the fans. Or I turned off the fans because I had him. Yeah. How are you? I didn't get a chance to hug you or say hi. I'll hug you after.
Right.
So after, when I put the last music on, you know the drill. Go out there, wait for me, we'll take some pictures.
Yeah.
And that will give Maya a chance to come in and get herself set up. Oh. Oh, wait, no, 54 seconds. Okay. Pay attention, Cammy. My hair looks like a helmet today. Oh, that's going to be on the video. Oops. We're back with Art on the Airwaves with Cammy Davis on KSKQ 89.5 FM in Ashland, Oregon. And today in our studio, we have artist Whitney Rolfe. Whitney is an amazing artist in her own right, and then she's also the creator of Art.Music.Passion. Welcome to the show, Whitney.
Thanks, Cammy.
Great to have you here. Tell the listeners, but let's start with your art. And I know you have a couple different kinds. You do synthetic dreads and you do pen and ink drawings, and I've seen some acrylic ones as well. So let's start by having you explain your art to our listeners.
Well, I have mostly worked in the abstract realm. I find it so much more enjoyable to be able to bring out emotional images, not so much representational images. I could have been a photographer or a realist painter, but I really enjoy the abstract world. It holds different meanings to every single person. It can be entirely personal, and it creates a unique experience for every single viewer, and that's what I really love about it.
Yeah, I agree, and that was really well said. Tell them about your synthetic dreads, too, because I've always found that fascinating about you. Do you still do that, right?
I'm withdrawing from that world because I would like to fully throw myself into my artwork and really focus on that. It's a bit more profitable as well, surprisingly.
Oh, yes, of course.
The synthetic dreads thing, it was so much fun. I loved getting to make colorful creations for people's hair. The synthetic dreads, for the people that don't know, they're a braid-in extension, and it allows you to put dreads in, wear them for about a month or so, and take them back out with little to no damage to your hair. Mm-hmm. And actually, my hair has come out much healthier than it was before. I was able to grow it out really, really long and resist dyeing it because I was able to put in these brightly colorful and textured dreads and have just so much fun. And it's way easier to get ready in the morning. You get up and kind of straighten your bangs out a little bit, and you're good to go. I
love that. And people always, if I'm mentioning your name and people are like, which artist is that? And I say, bright pink hair. And they go, oh, Whitney.
I always tell people, you'll know it's me because my hair won't be the same.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's true. You do seem to always keep the bright pink color, but the style changes.
I like to change the style a lot. And I've gone through almost every single color of the rainbow, and I always seem to keep coming back to pink or purple.
Yeah, you do purple too. I like the pink the most myself, I have to admit, but you're right with the purple. And then talk a little bit about your art that you're selling right now, the pen and ink, and you do prints. And where do you sell those at too? Isn't it like Society 6 or?
I have a selection of my artwork available on society6.com if you search for Dark Rainbow Creations. I'm working on moving most of my stuff over to my own website and processing payments through PayPal because it's always good to have your own control over all of it.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, I've been working most recently on a series of watercolor and ink paintings. Most of them are around 5x7. I lay down a really nice abstract, beautiful background of watercolor and a little bit of ink around the edges. Mm-hmm. And then I spend meticulous hours and hours using a paintbrush to paint these tiny designs, a lot of them very mandala based. I also do some intricate organic shapes. A lot of them fill in the entire paper space. I really enjoy taking inspiration from cellular structure and lace designs and other tribal patterns from around the world. I love looking at henna designs. I love looking at other mandalas, and I try to bring all of these tiny, intricate details into one space, and it's really interesting because it has such a wide appeal to so many different people because I'm drawing from all these tiny, minute details that are around me in the world that people sometimes forget to stop and notice, like the texture of the bark.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a festival that you were at recently that was really interesting. What was that thing called?
Oh, I went to Oregon Country Fair. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and why did you say it that way? Because it was so good?
It was so good. You know, the best way I can explain it is someone tried to contact me on my phone while I was out there, and I responded with, Whitney has gone to Oregon Country Fair. She may never fully recover, but she'll be back to Earth on Tuesday.
That's awesome.
You know, my friend Amy Kay, who's another artist in the area, who's always been part of my Art.Music.Passion events, she invited me to go along to work at a booth that she does. And it was just such an incredible experience to be around all these like-minded people that were in the, you know, we were there for the same reason, to fully be ourselves, to enjoy the world around us, to come together, to just help each other out in this strong sense of community. And it's so hard to explain it to people who have never been there. And I understand why no one could ever explain it to me before I went there. But it definitely feels like home.
Something you have to experience in person.
Absolutely.
Are there photos from you at that event on your website or someplace that listeners can see them?
I have a few on my Instagram.
Were you afraid to post the rest? Or what?
No,
I'm teasing.
I was too busy having fun to take out my cell phone, and I didn't take a camera with me.
That's great.
I was just having a great time.
Where is your Instagram? How do people find you on Instagram?
It's Instagram.com/Dark Rainbow. Dark Rainbow with a C
with
for
a
creations.
C. I remember that, DARC Rainbow. And they can find you, that's your website, darkrainbow.com.
If you just Google Dark Rainbow, it's pretty much all me.
It's you. That's fantastic. Let's talk about this event that you created. So tell the listeners about it, AMP.
Oh, AMP, Art.Music.Passion.
Okay.
This is...
I love it so far.
I have had so much fun doing this. We started in December of 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I think I brought together about 12 artist bands and performers.
Mm-hmm.
I created this event out of sort of, not really a lack of opportunity, but I had just recently graduated and I was feeling the need to occupy my time. And I have acquired some skills in event coordination and have sort of that mindset to be able to pull together these complicated things. And I really enjoy it. And I have all these talented artists and bands around me. I know tons of people in the Valley that are really incredibly creative and talented. And not all of them are getting gallery shows. They're not all getting paying gigs. Not everyone is getting opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to create an opportunity for myself, for my friends, and just pull it together with my own resources. I pretty much spend next to nothing. I think the first event cost me maybe $30.
That's the way to do it.
And out of pocket the whole way so far. The last event that we had was actually our first one that was self-sustaining. I finally put a cover charge on it, and I've been selling raffle tickets for the last few, and we generated enough funds to cover what I spent, and I was able to pay all of my artists and bands an equal amount, as well as my video crew, my doorman, and my venue.
That's so cool. So for listeners who haven't been to one of them yet, tell us about the next one. What is the date and location and all that good stuff?
The next one's actually our 6th event.
Okay.
I can't believe that we've already done 6 so far. It's going to be on Saturday, August 15th from 4 to 10 p.m. There's a sliding cover fee at the door from $2 to $5. Mm-hmm. So most people end up paying $5, but if you really can't afford that, you can just pay the $2 and still get in.
Yeah.
It's 21 and only after 8 p.m., but before 8 p.m. it is all ages. It can be considered a family event. We have people that bring their kids. I love getting to see whole families come out and enjoy it. It is an art event, and I typically don't censor the artists that I have and what they bring in.
Yeah.
So it's just something for people to keep in mind if they're bringing their kids. There may be
that's
there may be some slightly inappropriate art because I do have some street artists that I bring in, and I love the work they do.
Mm-hmm.
So colorful and so fun, and they're great with kids. Everybody there just loves working with the kids and answering the questions and stuff.
Tell us about some of the artists that you have. I don't know if you have a couple in particular that you'd like to talk about. So basically, these are younger artists who are kind of starting out in their career like you are, and you're giving them this great opportunity. Yeah. Yeah. So
either they're starting out in their career, or they haven't really found a space in the Rogue Valley that they feel comfortable showing their art, and maybe comfortable is the wrong word. But, they have a very alternative sensibility about their art, and it's kind of really edgy and sort of different, and that I love that. And I want to see that culture in our valley grow and become more than it is. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to give them an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. So pick out two of your favorite, or no, I don't want to say your favorites, two the first two that pop into your head. Let's do that.
The first two that really come to mind that have been there the whole time, every single event, is Rachel Miller and...
I love her. Hi, Rachel Miller.
Hi, Rachel Miller. Rachel Miller and Caroline Wasick with...
Oh, I love her too. Caroline.
With the Life Art Gallery.
Yes.
They're two separate artists, but then they're also tied into this wonderful space that's finally got its own gallery in downtown Medford. And they bring kids in and give them a space to create art, give them supplies to create art with, basically keeping them off the streets, out of trouble, and doing good with their lives. And I think that programs like that are so incredibly important.
Yeah, I think so much of life art. I was videotaping Wayne Chang, who is given a couple of awards to me, and I was videotaping him a few weeks ago where he was giving an award to life art, and I saw both Caroline and Rachel there, so that was really cool. So they're both going to be at A&P.
Yes.
Now, are they bringing some of the life art kids?
Yes, I always reserve a spot for the life art kids, and Rachel gets her own space as well. And they bring such a wide variety of amazing and colorful new art, and they've brought in records that they painted. They bring in canvas that they painted.
I love that. You never know what you're gonna get. I love that.
Yeah. And so the Art.Music.Passion event is held at Club 66, and I was so amazed that Uzi, who runs Club 66, he extended the opportunity to Rachel Miller and one of the other people involved in that group to actually paint the inside of the entryway.
Oh, cool.
And so he has allowed them to give the first look at Club 66. There's this really big face that she painted and some really fun guitars and all kinds of great stuff.
Ooh,
so you can actually go down to Club 66 anytime and see some of the art that has come out of the Art.Music.Passion event. We left a lasting impression on the place.
I love that. But you're going to want to go down there, in particular on August 15th for the Art.Music.Passion event. I mean, I would suggest it anyway. Before we go to our next song, can you tell us some of the bands that are going to be playing this time?
I got Tetragrammaton. They are one of our favorite bands to play. They do some sort of dubstep and other hard-hitting techno stuff. They're out of Grants Pass. They're friends with my partner, Christoph Schardt. Mm-hmm. And we also have a newcomer to the group. Her name is Ruby Blaze. She plays some really awesome acoustic rockabilly stuff, and her music is so sweet, and I'm so excited to see what kind of performance she puts on. And also, my stage manager is playing a set this time. He's going under the name Gamma Rays this time.
Oh, very
He does some awesome drum and bass stuff. And we do everything from acoustic to rock to techno to metal. I'm non-discriminatory on the types of bands that I choose, so there's something
as long
for
as
everyone.
it's good. As long as it's good.
But sometimes even when it's not, it's good.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing about Our Music Passion with us. Again, that's August 15th, 4 to 10 at Club 66. We're going to go to our next song. When we come back, we're going to talk to Whitney some more, and we're going to get some tips from her for young artists starting out a business. I wanted to tell you guys about something. It was the most amazing thing that I've had happen in a while. Actually, I think on my radio show, I'm going to start giving out my most amazing creative moment, because I just can't believe the things that I'm blessed with. So yesterday, I have a volunteer, Shirley is her name, who comes in and sits with my grandma. Many of you know I caretake my grandma. She's 97, and as an entrepreneur who's doing an art business, this gives me the opportunity to build my business while I have a roof over my head and I take care of my grandma. So I always want to thank my grandma for that. I really appreciate it. But grandma is 97 and she has dementia, so, it's getting a little tough for her. And there's certain things that she really enjoys. And she had mentioned to Shirley, this amazing volunteer, who comes in and sits with grandma each time I do my radio show. And they are listening today, so hi, Shirley and grandma. And it makes it so much easier for me to do my radio show. So Graham had mentioned to Shirley that she used to play the violin, and that her mother, which is my great-grandma, used to be an opera singer in Portland. So classical music is a huge thing in Grandma's life, and at her age, music is something that she still really responds to. So Shirley did the most amazing thing, and she invited these two professional musicians to come into our humble little home and play. And I knew it would be cool. Like, I was excited when she told me about it. I had no idea the impact that this would have on my grandma and on me as well, not being trained or even understanding classical music at all. For me, anything, I'm such a creative person that anything that where there's emotions and people are really in their creative zone, like I can have strong reactions to. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. Here we are in our humble little home, and Emma Vodopek, she's a violinist. She's playing at the Brit this month for classical season. I'm actually going to be at the Brit on Sunday. I get to listen to her on the stage, but even better, I got to listen to her in my living room. She's played at Brit for the last 7 years, and she came in with her violin and played 3 songs that were so amazing. I teared up twice. The second one I could have almost sobbed to. I was so moved by it. I can't even explain it. I mean, it just even sounds kind of stupid talking about it, but the sound was so pure. I mean, she was just so talented. It was very moving. And I looked over at Grandma, and Grandma, who, you know, a lot of the time seems to be in her own zone, she had this huge smile on her face the whole time. I did some posts with Grandma's smile and with them playing in our house to my personal Facebook page yesterday. And there were some people that commented on just how seeing her smile like that brought tears to their eyes. So I wanted to do a huge thank you to Emma Vodopek. And then her husband also came along, and Mark Vodopek is equally amazing as a musician. He came in with his cello. His cello is 300 years old. He told Grandma, he's like, it's older than you are. And I was trying to guess. I was like, 100, 300 years old. And oh my God, the sounds that came out of it were amazing. So I just wanted to give a huge thank you to both of those musicians and to Shirley for just making such an impact on my life, and in particular for doing something so generous for my grandmother. And it just gives me that belief in the human spirit, and I've been needing that lately. So I thank you so much to all of you guys. And one of the questions or one of the comments that I made to them was about the power of music. And I was thinking about the music art videos. After they left, I was thinking about the music art videos that I've been making with some of our local musicians. I've always painted to music in my life. Now I think I want to paint to classical music, actually, as well. But it has such a way of lifting or dropping the emotions. And this upcoming Thursday, this is the reason I'm making today Quetzal Music Day, Art on the Airwaves, official Quetzal Music Day, is because this Thursday I'm finally having a chance to film my next music art video, and this is with musician Jeff Quetzal. He gave me a CD, and I chose a song off of it to paint to, and the painting is actually in 2nd Street Gallery in Bandon, Oregon right now. But we've still been kind of waiting on the video. Everything is finally set up for this coming Thursday, and the song is Come Back to Me, and that's the one we're going to listen to next on Quetzal Music Day. That speaker is really off too. Usually I have it almost all the way on to get it to you can even hear it.
Baby, haven't seen you in so long. Months are rolling into years, and the feeling still ain't gone.
So when we come back, we'll do the tips. Okay. And we should have like a good 10 minutes. It should be enough to talk about it, because I don't have anything else other than just saying thank you at the end. So
come back to me.
There are no words for how much I love that song. I can't wait to do the video to that. We're going to be doing the video on Thursday, like I mentioned, and it's going to be really interesting, the canvas I'm painting. It has something to do with 8-foot by 8-foot plywood and a different type of canvas than I have ever painted on before. It's produced by Jez Klein, and the concept is by him, so you guys are going to have to be watching out for that, because it is going to be seriously good. And now that you've heard the video, you know what I'm saying. So that was Come Back to Me by Jeff Kletzel on this Kletzel Music Day on Art on the Airwaves. And we are back on the air with Cammy Davis with Art on the Airwaves on KSKQ 89.5 FM in Ashland, Oregon. And my guest today is Whitney Rolfe. Welcome back on the air, Whitney.
Thanks for having me, Cammy.
Absolutely. So I wanted, on this last little session with you, I wanted to talk about the business side of art, and I thought you would be a really interesting person to talk with. You graduated from SOU 2 years ago?
2013, yeah.
I knew I was close. Well, yeah, that is exactly. Boy, I can add quickly. So you are a younger artist that is starting out in the art business. So tell the listeners what you're doing to take your career forward, and then we're going to get some tips from you for other artists.
Well, first off, the first thing I can say about it is a lot of work to get started as a fine artist in this world. Mm-hmm. The internet has really changed the way that artists work in the world, and has really changed how we interact with the art communities.
Oh, so true.
So many years ago, it was all about the galleries. It was all about the wall space, all about the gallery space. And it's currently shifting away from wall space, and it has more to do with web presence.
Yeah, that's very true.
One of the first things that I did before I even graduated was I created darkrainbow.com. And I started funneling as much of my energy into my website as I could, because I knew that if anybody wanted to know anything about me, I would need a website.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good tip for any artist.
Any artist.
Yeah, and a lot of artists, especially the older ones, actually are resistant. I've noticed, when I'm searching on Instagram for artists, I've noticed that a lot of them say that they're still in college. So I think even college kids in the art programs are starting that nowadays.
Oh yeah, if you know that you're going to be an artist, or even if you're just dabbling in it, having a social media feed and a website is one of the first steps.
Yeah,
it's the base platform that you do everything else from.
Yeah.
When you have a show, you post it on your website, you post it on your social media. If you have a piece you're currently working on, you show work in progress shots on your social media and on your website.
I love work in progress shots.
Work in progress
Those are my
shots.
favorite.
They're so wonderful.
People respond to them really well,
They
too.
want a sneak peek at the process. That's what got me started on doing live art at my Art.Music.Passion events. That's why I'm so excited to work with the Ashland Open Studio Tour. Because everybody just loves to get a look at the inside of a creative space.
Well, I think the creative process is equally interesting to the finished product.
It is.
Yeah, and one thing that we have, as far as fine artists or visual arts goes, for the social media, is we're a step ahead of everyone else as long as we have a camera and we're willing to do the work to post them, because we're so visual to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's what you post is images. People relate best to images.
And I think that's why a lot of artists are flooding Instagram. There are a ton of artists networking with each other on Instagram, and I've seen some other platforms that are similar. They're trying to become the new artist platform, but right now it is definitely Instagram. It's all visual, it's all networking, it's really incredible.
Yeah.
And I have found myself in the last year, well, not quite a year, I stepped away from Facebook in December. I think one of the previous times I was on here, I was talking about my Facebook presence, and since then I have stepped back from Facebook because of how difficult they're making it for small businesses and for business pages to promote themselves and to reach their audience. Mm-hmm. Whereas Instagram, I have found a ton of people that I never would have before that aren't my friends, that just stumbled across my artwork randomly on Instagram from one tag or another. And I've even made sales through Instagram, art sales through Instagram, which is more than I could say about my Facebook.
Yeah, so Whitney definitely recommends Instagram, and I think that's great. Hers is DARC Rainbow is how you can find her on Instagram. Mine, and it's for my art, and then I also do art on the Airwaves post as well, is Cammy Art, CAMMY Art, and I too love Instagram. So if you're an artist that's listening, I would highly recommend that. And if you love art, it's a great way to search for images. It's so much fun to do search and type in whatever you're looking for and see what comes up. What other tips do you have for artists or entrepreneurs that are trying to make it in today's world?
I think one of the most, and this is kind of a multifaceted answer to that, one of the most important things is to know what you want and to not be afraid to ask for it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've had a number of shows in the last year or so, And 90% of those I got because I asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the person that owned the wall space or that was having the event, and I said, hey, I have some art. Here's my art. I would really like to show in your space. What is your availability like?
Yeah,
But,
that's
you
a
know,
good tip.
If you don't go out and ask for it, people don't know that you want it.
Yeah.
They can guess, but they won't know.
And the worst they can say is no. I
And-
always say that on my videos and stuff like that. Is I agree with Whitney. Is if there's something that you want, go and ask for it. And the worst they can say is no. And like Whitney said, often they say yes. Right? That's what you find.
A lot of times they say yes,
Yeah.
and even when they say no, then you're just exactly where you started before
Right.
you asked,
Right.
and you're no worse off. And in fact, I found that the more I ask, the better I get at asking.
Yo, that's true too. Yeah.
And, you know, this train of thought for me was very inspired by one of my favorite TED Talks that I talk about all the time, Amanda Palmer and the Art of Asking.
I think you've mentioned that one to me.
I have mentioned it. She's been a great influence on me, and I even went to her book signing tour, which was not much of a book signing tour and just kind of a mishmash of all the amazing creative things that she
Did
does.
you give her like a piece of art or something? You gave her something.
I gave her a ring.
You gave her a ring.
I gave her a ring.
I love that.
You know, so many people put pieces of paper in her hand, and I gave her something. She immediately put the ring on. She was a great person.
That's so sweet.
But I would
love
highly
that.
recommend her 13-minute TED Talk, The Art of Asking,
Mhm.
for anyone that hasn't seen it, because it's incredibly inspiring and can really make you realize the power of asking for what you want out in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, the other part of all of that, of asking for what you want, knowing what you want, is also to support each other, support the people that are going to help you get what you want, to support other artists, your peers. That network of people is so important. As we grow up as artists, our artist peers are going to continue to be there with us along the way, and you never know which one of them is going to be the next director of the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think staying positive about other artists. I've been, you're constantly surprised at the things that come at you, and I do think, what she said is true, is support each other as artists, stay positive with each other, watch what you're doing and saying, and keep it positive about the other artists, help them promote themselves. I think we have time for one, maybe two last quick tips from Whitney Rolfe.
Well, to keep it really quick, if there's no opportunity present that is fitting for you, create that opportunity. That's what I did with Art.Music.Passion. Which I don't show my own art at, but I support other artists and I strengthen the net, and people love you for that.
Yeah,
when you go out there and create opportunity, and it creates an impression and makes you get noticed more.
Yeah,
you stand out. Participate in as much as you can. Go to First Fridays, go to Third Fridays, go to any art walks, go to all the open studio tours. Participate in your arts community as much as you can, because then your face will become known. And that's one of the most important things of being an artist, is for people to be able to remember you from all the other artists that we have in our world.
Yeah, actually, for any entrepreneur, that's a good tip, too, because it is all about branding yourself, so people do remember you. And information's coming at us from so many different directions that trying to make yourself stand out. Whitney has some great tips. Whitney, what is up next for you? Real quick, and let's also say your website again for everyone.
What's up next for me is just to make more art, to really dig in and focus on making more art and getting more shows and selling more of my art. That's probably the biggest focus.
Every artist's goal.
Every artist's goal, sell more art. And you can find all of that at www.darkrainbow.com, darcrainbow.com.
And for Art.Music.Passion, where can people find more information about that?
I have, most of that information is on my website, darkrainbow.com/amp. And we also have a Facebook page, which you can find from searching on Facebook, Art.Music.Passion. And one last thing I did want to say, a lot of these tips and a lot of this inspiration for these events that I got came from our new director at the Schneider, Scott Malburn. He came in towards the end of my school career, and I didn't have any classes with him, but he was incredibly inspiring. And I would urge anybody that can to go up to the Schneider, check out their exhibits, have a quick chat with Scott, because he is a really wonderful influence that we have here in the Valley.
I love that. A shout out to someone who inspired you. Thank you so much, Whitney, for being on the show today.
And thank you so much, Cammy. The last thing I wanted to say was, for my Art.Music.Passion event, if it wasn't for Uzi and Club 66, it wouldn't have grown to what it was. He supported it fully the whole way.
Fantastic. So don't forget Art.Music.Passion on August 15th from 4 to 10 p.m. at Club 66 with supported by Uzi. And don't forget also that it's Klutzel Music Day here at Art on the Airwaves. And I want to do a shout out for my next, or a reminder of my next show, where I'm going to have as my guest Randy McKay from the Holly Theater. Love Randy, and he's going to be on talking about the Belushi benefit. And we're also going to have musical guest The Seance. So thank you for listening to Art on the Airwaves with Cammy Davis. And I'm going to send you out with one final Klutzel song for our Klutzel Music Day. Okay. Is she here yet? Open that so she knows she can come in.
Thanks for letting me get those 2 little shout outs in.
Oh, yeah.
But seriously, without Uzi, this event would not have gone anywhere.
Really sweet. Oh, she-
We know what binds us. I'm begging you.